Conscience Guide Team by Sheepdog and Shepherd.
Conscience Guide Team 2.8 Conscience and the U.S. Federal Government. Hey Shepherd, watch out where that sheepdog goes, and don't you eat that yellow snow.
Apparently, some people working in the federal government ignored that profound bit of wisdom and attempted to make ice cream out of yellow snow, thus resulting in ethical failures. The Encyclopedia of Ethical Failures, published by the Department of Defense Standards of Conduct Office, summarizes hundreds of cases of ethical failures. The 2019 update of the Encyclopedia of Ethical Failures is 194 pages long. It summarizes more than 400 cases of ethical failures and represents almost every department and agency of the federal government, including the Department of Defense, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the U.S. Postal Service, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Environmental Protection Agency. Abuse of power, bribery, conflict of interest, and credit card abuse are just a few of the many examples of ethical failures in the federal government. The Encyclopedia of Ethical Failures does not include data regarding how much taxpayer money was lost due to waste, fraud, and abuse. Nor does it include data regarding how much taxpayer money was directed towards the investigation and disciplinary actions associated with these ethical failures. Since there is never a shortage of ethical failures, the Standards of Conduct Office publishes annual updates to the encyclopedia. In addition to violating standards of conduct and the public trust, those included in the encyclopedia have violated something else, something that will never countenance the violations of its moral code. The Encyclopedia of Ethical Failures stimulates the following observations. Of those who were caught violating the standards of conduct, when did they start violating? Had they started early in their careers? Were they waiting in the wings until they became senior officers or senior officials to violate? Since they rose to levels of seniority in the federal government, did they feel that they could violate with impunity? Did they consider themselves exempt from or above the standards of conduct? Clearly, some of them ignored the promptings of their conscience to avoid that which was wrong and pursue that which was right. Some of them had habitually engaged in violating the standards of conduct and their moral code, thus resulting in a seared conscience that was unable to prompt them to avoid wrong action and pursue right action. All substituted their loyalty to the U.S. Constitution for personal gain, salacious gratification, or the trappings of power and position. While the Encyclopedia of Ethical Failures exposes some of the waste, fraud, and abuse in the U.S. federal government, it also illustrates the delicate relationship between one's conscience and what one considers to be his or her moral code. If an individual rejects his or her moral code and replaces it with some other standard, the conscience will not function properly in prompting the individual to pursue that which is right and avoid that which is wrong. Were those eventually investigated and disciplined the fortunate ones? They now have an opportunity to revisit the functions and purpose of their conscience before it is too late. They have an opportunity to engage in restitution and restoration. As addressed in previous episodes, there will come a time when the conscience is unfettered and unending. Nothing is more terrifying than an unconstrained conscience in the afterlife. With special acknowledgement to our references consulted.
Thank you for watching our presentation on matters pertaining to conscience. Please subscribe and offer your comments. Produced by Sheepdog and Shepherd, aka M. Gilbert Steiner, author of The Short Man of Nuremberg.